before the Halloween thing, because I'm sure you have ideas too, but because you always go pretty hard for costumes.
Yeah.
I never do. I'm incredibly lazy, but do you know, I have another friend, my friend from home. He also goes pretty hard. But do you know Silent Hill, the games at all?
Nope.
Oh my God. Hold on, I'll get a picture. There's this thing in Silent Hill. It's like this big monster thing that chases you for a long time called Pyramid Head. Did you see the movie?
Nope.
Oh, Silent Hill's neat. But he went and he made like a very intricate pyramid head. And it's just this. It's just a big pyramid head with a big sword. And the idea is that it, like, in the game, it just catches you and kills you. But it's very creepy. They do a good job. There it is in the game. We should play Silent Hill if they ever do it for Switch. But he did a really good pyramid head costume when we were in high school.
Yeah.
Which also, too, high schoolers don't generally have a lot of follow-through or dedication. And you can't use that picture because you're basically wearing the same shirt right now.
I actually own this exact Hopper shirt that he wears in Season 3. I was Hopper for Halloween the year this came out.
But it's an important note of distinction that you had that shirt before the shirt came out.
I actually had a shirt that used the exact same colors and looked fairly similar, but I did not have.
Oh, you didn't have that exact
shirt. So I went out and got it for Halloween, and I just shaved down to a mustache. And then since Hopper supposedly dies, I got some angel wings and a little halo to wear. So anyways, you usually, at least in the Halloween parties that I've hosted that you've come to, you have the same costume of your little skeleton pajama onesies.
Right, which technically it's supposed to be Donnie Darko.
Oh.
Because at the end of Donnie Darko, he wears the skeleton onesie, a gray sweatshirt, and then he is wearing like white sneakers. And I never have white sneakers, so I don't worry about that shit.
I thought you were trying to be an actual skeleton.
Well, and then also too, if anybody doesn't know what Donnie Darko is, I just say I'm a skeleton. So yes, I also don't fit in that anymore, so thanks for bringing it up.
So you're going to have to be something different this year.
No, I'm just going to buy one size up of the same exact thing, and then I'm going to be a skeleton. Yeah, because look, if I'm going to do something for Halloween, I want to be relatively comfortable, right?
Fair.
The only thing that's problematic with that is when you piss, you have to, and Halloween is also, for me, for whatever reason, always ends up being the single night of the year that I'm the most fucked up of any other night, and it's typically your fault.
I will admit that.
And it's usually because of White Russians too.
Yeah.
But all three of your Halloween parties, even the small one, I get fucking decimated, and that's not a good idea. But anyways, that's why I wear that, because I want to be comfortable. It's always a good temperature for being down here. I'm never too hot or too cold.
Yeah.
It's a good situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on.
Have you ever done anything different for a Halloween costume?
No. I mean, when we were in Wilmington, I had a sailor hat, and that was all I had.
Yeah.
Because we were going somewhere, and they're like, you have to wear a costume. And I said, okay. So I got a sailor hat. And then I wore a blue sports coat, and I said I was a captain of a boat. That was it.
Yeah.
I don't care. I just don't care.
Really? Oh, yeah. I love Halloween.
I know you
do.
And they're always so clever.
Shit. Well, they're not clever. But okay, so before Hopper, the last few costumes I did were like, I love applying the sexy Halloween costume to traditional Halloween costumes that would not usually work.
You take a Halloween costume that you would do anyway, and then you drop the adjective sexy in front of it the same way that they market those costumes.
So one year I was a sexy ghost, and then one year I was a sexy pumpkin, and that one was my favorite. I think that's the best Halloween costume I've ever done.
I remember that one.
One year, the new Wet Hot American Netflix series had come out.
Oh, I've never watched the second season, but the first one is hilarious. Yeah, Wet Hot American Summer.
Okay, so I was a Wet Hot American, and I just made a T-shirt that said Wet Hot American and wore cut off jorts and stuff.
Oh, I lied to you too. There was one year where I wasn't a skeleton. I went and I bought a really cheap white sheet, and I cut holes in it, and I was a ghost. but like the traditional, like you cut eye holes.
The lazy, yeah.
Yeah, and what people don't realize about that is there's no way to differentiate in that quote unquote costume where the eye holes are supposed to go.
Yeah.
So you literally just walking around with a sheet on you that you have to keep adjusting so you can see out of.
Yeah.
So it doesn't usually last that long. So I was a ghost for like an hour.
Where's my fucking phone?
It's fucking recording, you idiot.
Oh. Never mind then. I was going to show you, because that's what I did with my sexy ghost costume.
Yeah.
I just cut a sheet and I put some holes in it for my eyes, and then I like very sloppily applied makeup on top of the sheet and wore a tutu on top of it and stuff, and yeah.
That's actually not a bad idea because the tutu could keep it in place.
Yeah, actually
bit.
That helped.
Good idea. You're a smart kid. You're a sharp kid, Kev. Are you drawing a hopper that's grotesque, or are you just drawing a realistic hopper?
I'm drawing it a little more exaggerated, but not like super grotesque.
It's crazy to me that you can just draw a person.
Really?
Yeah.
You just look at a picture and you draw what's there, and maybe you stretch things a little bit.
Yeah, but that's not a skill that people just naturally come to.
It's one that I like pretty naturally had.
Well, it must be nice.
Well, it's kind of funny, you know, the things that like you're good at that people find like pretty impressive are usually not the things that you think are the most impressive thing that you do.
No, the things that you find that you are personally impressed by are the things that you have to fucking try really hard to do, because if it just comes to you naturally, yeah. No, but even the idea of like even drawing something simple, I couldn't recreate like a cartoon, a simple cartoon-esque thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just I don't have that. I don't have that in me.
And that's something that's so weird to me, because even from like a very young age, I just doodled because I got bored, and that was something I did instead of reading. And it was always something that I could do pretty easily, that my siblings could both do pretty easily. And
they can all draw?
Yeah.
Huh. Do they?
Which is weird because neither of my parents are artistic at all. And neither of them are musical either. And all of my, well, not Kim, but Joey and Sarah and I, who grew up together, are all very musical. Joey plays drums. Sarah also plays piano and can sing pretty well too. But we're all artistic in ways that our parents were not at all.
I know that Joey doesn't, but does your sister like play routinely? Like, is it a hobby of hers that she pursues, or is it just a skill that she has?
Not anymore. She took lessons, and she can still play, and she sounds pretty good. She definitely sounds better than the average person who like took piano lessons as a child and then quit.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Because she stuck with it through high school. But whereas I like found a passion for it at some point in high school and then continued, Sarah did not. And so the second she was out of the house and could quit, because my mom wouldn't let us quit while we were in the house, then she did.
Oh my God.
Which is kind of sad, because I think playing piano is one thing that I wanted to quit when I was a kid, and my mom would not let me. And I'm very grateful for that now. I think I mentioned that before.
Yeah, but it's no. I mean, that's fair. I mean, that was one of my things. Is I was always kind of looking for something that I wanted to do, and then when I didn't start playing guitar at all until I was probably like 11 or 12, and I just went into it completely blind. Like I had no prior anything, and I really liked it. But I remember when I had started that, my parents were like, oh, well, like, do you want guitar lessons? And I was like, nah, because I was embarrassed that I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I was like, if I take lessons, I really don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
And they're going to know that. And then they were like, well, do you want to do, like, piano lessons? And I was like, nah, because I was like, if I'm going to learn something, I should learn guitar. Right. That was a fucking mistake. I should have taken piano lessons. But, it's funny that you mentioned that, because that's another thing that I have another friend from college, and maybe he still is, I don't know. He always was, when we were playing, an excellent bass player. He had a really, really solid ear, like a really good understanding of music theory. He was good at piano. Like he picking something up, he could do it well, and he sounded good. Yeah. And he was fairly into bass as like an instrument, and like the culture that surrounds it. Like he liked it. Yeah. You know? And we had these practice rooms, so like we could go every week or every 2 times a week and play music in these like loaded practice rooms, and it was awesome. And then like probably 2 years or so before we left. So we probably had 2 good years. Then we would have to like really fucking like get on him to come play with us because he's like, it's boring.
Oh.
And I was like, but you're
I don't
so
understand
good at
how
it.
anyone could feel that way.
And right, and it was like he didn't like playing music in a group of people. He didn't like practicing by himself. He just didn't. He would listen to music too, like the stuff that he liked.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like he didn't even music as a passive thing was not this huge, hobby for him. And that I could never understand because that's the one common thing that I did have even before I played. I always wanted to hear new stuff and like,
Yeah.
my thing is like if I hear one song from a band I really like,
I smudged it a little bit because I wasn't using my paper.
that's okay. That's a really good mustache. If I hear one song I really like, I want to hear an album, and if I hear an album I really like, I want to hear the rest of the albums.
Yeah.
I want to sort of have their whole piece in front of me.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've always liked that. So it was so weird, and it kind of really bummed me out too because I was like, "You're so good at this stuff, and I'm not."
Mm-hmm.
And I have to kind of like struggle to be functional and practice, and you kind of can just do it naturally. And the point of this whole conversation is it's wild to me when people have very natural talents in something, but turn away from it completely, and you're kind of like, oh yeah, it's not my thing.
Yeah, and it's a shame because Sarah, I remember being in high school, and Sarah was in middle school. And I was at the point where I was finally getting into music. And the way that happened was like I was finally actually playing music I cared about and liked.
Always found like piano for the most part, yeah?
Yeah, it was always piano. I actually started in like, it was first or second grade when I first started taking lessons. And I came home from school one day and told my parents I wanted to learn how to play saxophone.
Oh my God.
And because I saw someone playing saxophone or I saw a video of it, and even as a child, I could understand there was something innately sexy about saxophone.
Yeah, there fucking is.
And without even really knowing what sexy was, like I could tell this is something.
You thought it was cool. Do you remember what you saw?
I don't remember what I saw.
Was it an old jazz thing or was it something?
I don't remember what the music was.
It could have been Bruce.
I just remember being struck by the image of a man playing a saxophone and just that looked cooler than a man holding a guitar or a man sitting at a piano.
It does.
It just looked so fucking cool. And so I came home from school one day. I said, I want to learn how to play saxophone. And my parents said, well, we have a guitar and we have a piano. So you can learn one of those. And then once you've learned music and you understand it, and if you actually like it and want to stick with it, then we'll buy you a saxophone. And so I took piano lessons and then, never really moved on to the actual saxophone after that.
Just because you got into.
Just because it took a while for me to get good at piano. It, didn't come super, super naturally at first.
That's surprising.
And, but once I did, I hated sight reading. I hated learning classical music, which I don't know what the process is like taking guitar lessons and learning guitar. If you're going to an actual teacher or something, but with piano, it's always you're learning classical music.
Right.
And I had no interest in classical music whatsoever. I thought it was all boring. I thought none of it sounded cool.
Do you still feel that way now?
Mostly, yeah.
Okay.
And it was not something that I enjoyed playing. It's something that you got to learn how to play, and you got to learn how to play it exactly as it's written.
Right.
And not just play the notes as they're written in the time that they're written, but even playing, it will dictate how loud, how soft to play at certain points and stuff like that. And I always found that boring and uncreative to reproduce something exactly as it's been written. I wanted to put my own, I wanted to play music myself. And it wasn't until I started playing Billy Joel and Elton John that I was learning music that I liked playing, and then learning how to play piano in the way I had always wanted to play piano, and not just in the way that they teach you how to play classical piano, because there are different ways of playing.
Right.
So it wasn't until then that I started actually liking it, and thus actually getting good at it and playing more than my mandated 30 minutes of playtime a day.
It's funny that Billy Joel and Elton John, are
the ones that who did that for me.
That kind of started.
Yeah.
Well, and it's so when
I remember it was also a 1960s rock music book that I still have.
You still have? Yeah. See, I had a Beatles like chord book, like guitar chord book.
Yeah.
And that was like, and this, I mean, I was a kid. I was like probably like 9. Or no, I didn't start playing until I was like 11. So I was probably like 11, 12, 13. But like that Beatles book was like my reach. I was like, one day I'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
But just not yet. It was actually Tenacious D that
really?
did it for me. I was watching the Tenacious D Complete Masterworks.
Masterworks?
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. You need to watch it. It's on HBO. It's like, they're really short episodes. They were HBO shorts. But watch the Complete Masterworks. It's not as funny as it was, but imagine watching it when you're like 11. All right.
Yeah.
But that
that
show, fucking, I was like, oh my God, it's so cool to play. And then from there, I was like, okay, well, I already had an interest in music, period.
Right.
But just not participating in it.
Right.
So Tenacious D was kind of like the first thing. I was like, I could do this. And then I grew up playing Blink-182 albums. And that's why we're so different.
Uh-huh.
Because you were playing Elton John and Billy Joel, and that's why you know what you're doing. And I was playing Blink-182 and slamming away on 4 power chords per song.
Doing, but yeah. And then playing with friends in a band was like some of the most fun that I had in high school. And that's, I don't know, once you get that kind of experience, I don't know how you would ever stop.
That was my playing with people, not in front of people, was so fun in and of itself.
Right.
That once I was at the point where I was playing in front of people, I was like, I'm hooked on this.
Yeah.
But and that's funny too, because the low level of skill that you see before you today that I have now is only because I was playing with people. Because when I went to college, I was exactly where I was when I started. I was like playing, pop punk stuff and like being able to read a chord chart, but not much else. And, no figuring out, which I'm still not good at, but like no figuring anything out myself whatsoever. And then I went and the same kid I was talking about before, his brother is an excellent guitar player. And he was like in the jazz band, and he was in all these like different ensembles on campus, and I was like, well, teach me, like I want to play, whatever. And he's like, well, yeah, let's go jam with some people. I was like, okay. And we literally walked in a room, and it would be like, okay, we're gonna jam, we're in A. And I'm like, okay. I had no idea what to do.
Right.
So he was like, well, I'll teach you, but you have to be able to jam with just me first, and then you can jam with other people. And it took a while. And he was a good teacher and a terrible teacher at the same time. He's incredibly impatient.
Yeah.
I think now, looking back, had we both not been like 18 and 20, it probably would have gone smoother.
Yeah.
But that I learned everything from him. That's why I'm able to do the little I'm able to do today is him. See, but you also skipped a major part of my thing, was you never really got into the gear end of it.
No, I didn't, and I think it's a little different for keyboardists, in particular, piano players.
Yeah.
Because all throughout like my childhood and high school and stuff, we had an upright piano, and I was just playing that, and that was it, and that was all you needed.
Well, and that's the funny thing is, it's actually, I think, better to not get. It's so easy to get sidetracked in that world.
Yeah.
And then you don't really think about playing so much as you think of like collecting and like the itemization of it.
Yeah. Well, and then the other thing is, once I started playing with a group in high school with some friends, and I got a keyboard and I got an amp, I just got like pretty basic stuff, a keyboard that had an all right piano sound, and an amp that would amplify it in a way that sounded clear.
And then you were pretty much set.
And I was set. And my two friends, William and Aaron, they were both guitarists, and they were both super into gear. And so they knew everything that needed to be known, and I didn't have to learn anything new.
Yeah, that helps too.
And that's still where I'm at today, where I have like no fucking clue about any kind of gear, and I have to ask people what I should get, what I should look for, stuff like that.
I think it's you actually, I think, are in the preferable version of this, where if you don't worry about it at all, and it's not part of your for lack of a better term, your musical vocabulary and experience, and you're only worried about playing music, you can always retroactively go back and start looking at this stuff, because it's not a skill, it's just time and reading. And then like going to stores and trying stuff out. But it's like, because I got into the part of it where it's like, what are the pickups like? And like mine was partially out of necessity, because the things I had sounded like shit. And I needed the cheapest way to get them to not sound like shit.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that was like, in retrospect now, yeah, it was still a waste of money, but it taught me how to solder stuff and all that. And some of the sound quality things that I wouldn't know otherwise.
Yeah.
I honestly think too, you've played on what you have, I'm assuming, for so long.
Yeah.
That if you have like a decent keyboard and some better means of amplification, like it's gonna fucking blow your mind.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be like, I can't believe it sounds like that.
Right. Well, even like I told you this, that like I bought some stuff over the pandemic to try and learn, that like a looping pedal and a little drum machine to try and be able to play on my own with more of an actual full band sound.
Yeah.
And it was cool, and I played around with it for a little bit, and then like, I don't know, this is my problem with like trying to get better at guitar or bass or any other instrument, is that I can do it for a little bit, but then eventually I just like, I want to do something I'm already good at. And when I have the time to like play music, I tend to just play piano, because I already know it. I'm already good at it. And I don't have to try and learn something that I'm not very good at,
I still like your Hopper caricature. I know we are so far off of Stranger Things at this point.
That's all right.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
Who
cares?
No, I mean, that was going to happen. Yeah, no, I'm telling you, like, if I could have, I probably had like a 2-year period where I was way too focused on gear stuff and less on learning new music things. And then, at the start of the pandemic, that's when I got the keyboard and the piano and the keyboard and the bass. And I was kind of like, let me try to learn some new things to bring into my thing.
Yeah.
And it's definitely been helpful, actually. I've noticed, especially now playing with in our group more regularly.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing that was missing. I was just rusty. I just wasn't playing much.
Yeah.
And now I am, and I'm kind of like, oh, it's coming back a little bit, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird. But all this is to say, I can't imagine being really good at something like piano or drawing or music overall, and then kind of just being like, oh, not doing it anymore.
And that was how I felt like for my sister. Like, so this is what I was going to mention. When I was in high school, I was like actually starting to enjoy playing piano, but I was still like pretty reliant on having to see the chords and the sheet music for at least the melody in front of me to play anything. Whereas Sarah in middle school, after even just a few years, could hear something like on the radio, and she could, she wouldn't like play it immediately. She wasn't a savant, but she could like she'd find it after a couple minutes and then figure out what the chords were, and she was pretty gifted at that.
Oh my God. I would kill to be able to do that.
And I can do that better now.
You're
but like at
that.
the time, I was pretty envious of her ability to do that, and then the fact that like, just a few years later, she would like basically quit piano entirely. Was like, man, you had a talent. I wish you'd stuck with it a little more.
Yeah.
But Joey's even worse. he was legitimately like a pretty good drummer for a high school drummer. But like that's just Joey's whole thing, is he gets really into something for a while and then gets bored with it and drops it and moves on to the next thing. Yeah.
Tell me about your Hopper. You look like you're done.
Yeah, I think I'm done with Hopper. I didn't want to do like a super grotesque, more of just like a straight caricature. This is what I did a lot in high school. I actually sold some of these things.
I like that.
So obviously you're not stretching stuff to quite as big of extremes, but like you find like what are the most striking features of someone. And for Hopper, I mean, it's definitely mustache. From season 3, mustache, and he's got these like kind of deep sunken eyes that are kind of striking. So he almost has like a Frankenstein like shaped head. So just like kind of pulling on that.
Also looks incredibly similar to you.
Yeah, he does.
Between Hopper and Nick Offerman.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. When this season came out, I was sporting a mustache at the time, and I got so many texts from people saying, like, oh my God.
I texted you about it.
Hopper and Stranger Things and stuff, and I couldn't not be him for Halloween.
No, you
Although,
have to.
it's funny because, like, we've mentioned how much I love Halloween and how into it I am. I hosted a Halloween party. This is while I was living in Chapel Hill, and I invited everyone in my program, and I said, you have to wear a costume.
Did nobody wear a
I don't
costume?
care if you're not into it. Fucking wear a costume. Don't be a loser. Wear a costume. And so there are some people who begrudgingly came in costumes, and some who said, fuck it, I'm not wearing a costume. And then even more who said, fuck it, I'm not going, if that's the way you're going to be. But then they got there, and I'm dressed as Hopper, which is essentially just me. And they're like, what the fuck? You, like, got all up in our asses about wearing costumes, and you're just wearing what you normally wear? I said, no, I'm Hopper. I had to buy this shirt. Look, I got the little angel wings and the halo and stuff. And
And that's
I
why
did a group costume. I had Elena came over as 11, and her boyfriend Tanner was Dustin, and
That's a good
I think
one.
there were a couple of others who. Oh, my roommate and his girlfriend dressed up as Steve and Robin in the Scoops Troops outfits. So
that
we
must
had,
have
like,
been a popular
good-
Halloween costume that year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I would have done that if I
Yeah.
cared.
Should we stop here, or should we do one more?
I think this is probably long enough
Okay.
to end it.
All right.
But
Sorry,
I do,
Eddie, we didn't get to you. We'll do you next time.
I do like the idea of continuing this.
Stranger Things.
Yeah, I think. Well,
In
because
less of a grotesque
yeah.
form, and
Well,
more of
and
a
I mean, like if
cartoony
you
kind
do
of
some
form.
of them that are silly and some of them that are real, like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
I do feel like this flowed well,
Yeah. Yeah.
and these are frankly more impressive than your Pikachu. All right. Well,
Cool. All right.
if you liked Kevin's stupid Stranger Things drawings, then be nice to him because he really needs.
Give us a like. Make me feel validated.
You really committed to this for the drawing. You have triple the commitment to the drawing as you do the Let's Play.
I care more about getting likes on the drawing ones.
Thank you for watching Von Wolf Brain. This is Stephen Hawking's cousin, Stephen Eagle Eagle. I am just as smart as him and more alive than him, and I watch Von Wolf Brain every day and I love it. Oh god, I love it. Please consume more content. Click here. Or here. Or here. Thank you. I love you. Goodbye. Love. Von Wolf Brain.